Random House Audible presents 26 Nights, A Sexual Adventure by the editors of Penthouse magazine. Read for you by Bill Morgan. Chapter 1. Ambrosial is the scent of woman. As always, even before I was fully awake, I knew by the scent that she was there beside me. It is indescribable, and to some, undetectable. Too many men of my acquaintance have told me they are unaware of it, except under obvious circumstances, which seems to me very sad. But it is the scent of heaven, and on those rare mornings when I awaken to its absence, I'm possessed by a terrible depression, combined with the need to experience it again as soon as possible. This morning, however, it was not absent. Gratefully, I reached out for the sweetness beside me, not yet awake enough to recall who it was. It didn't matter. The scent told me it was female, and my hand soon confirmed that conclusion. Soft it was and warm, with smooth skin, with yielding breasts, round behind, sweet, tender thighs. "Good morning," came a throaty voice, and then I remembered. Phyllis. Blonde, pretty, kittenish, and married, but with a husband who traveled, very convenient. The trip that had taken him away this time was not the first one of which Phyllis and I had taken advantage. There was something else about Phyllis, something I strove to remember. I pride myself on my memory of these things, somewhat encyclopedic if I do say so. Ah yes, it came to me. Phyllis liked to be touched in a certain way, high up between her thighs, just at the lower end of the vaginal opening. Just there. Like this. "Ooh," Phyllis gasped. "Oh, Jesus. Oh, Stephen." And she slithered across the bed to me and pressed her estimable body hard against mine, and wiggled. My fingers did that thing again, and then explored a bit further. "Jesus," she said, and her leg came across me, and then she was pulling herself on top of me, straddling me, and grasping my cock, which had been hard since before I was awake, and sliding herself down over it. My appreciative groan and the ring of the telephone came simultaneously. "Oh, God," Phyllis said breathlessly. "Oh, no." "It's only Miss Greenglass," I said, not to worry. Without moving enough to dislodge her, I reached for the phone on the bedside table. "Don't answer it," Phyllis said, but I merely winked at her. "Yes," I said to the phone. "I'm here, Mr. Walling." It was indeed Miss Greenglass, my secretary, who came to my house every weekday morning at a ridiculously uncivilized hour, a practice from which neither pleas nor threats could dissuade her. "I'm busy, Miss Greenglass," I said, which was true only in a sense, for I wasn't doing a thing other than lying there while Phyllis of the bouncing breasts and sweetly flexing legs was moving rhythmically up and down. "I'm sure you are," Miss Greenglass said, with just a hint of sarcasm. Perhaps Phyllis's rather heavy breathing had made itself heard through the phone, or perhaps it was just that Miss Greenglass was accustomed to my being busy at that hour. "I'll make a start on those contract figures, Mr. Walling, shall I, until you are free?" "Fine," I said. "Thank you, Miss Greenglass." I hung up just in time to prevent Miss Greenglass from hearing the series of cries from the ever-orgasmic Phyllis, which would surely have confirmed what she already knew. Phyllis threw her head back, spasmed her way through a splendid climax, and then collapsed on top of me. "Don't worry about Miss Greenglass," I said. "She's used to waiting." And rolling her over, very carefully so as not to break our pleasurable connection, I proceeded to partake further of the matchless joys of the female body. "Have you quite finished, Mr. Walling?" Miss Greenglass asked as I joined her in the room that serves as my office. "For now, Miss Greenglass, for now. Mrs. Dilsey is rather tuckered out, and as there don't seem to be any other females around at the moment, unless, of course, you would unbend enough." Miss Greenglass just looked at me in that particularly bleak manner of which only she is capable. My proposition was not new to her. Indeed, it was broached with increasing hopelessness virtually every day, invariably followed by her rather disdainful refusal. "I am sure," she said now, "that you will have no trouble finding adequate prey before the day is out. Shall we get to those figures now?" The figure I was most desirous of getting to was hers, as she well knew. That figure was as tantalizing as any I have seen, and her severe and businesslike manner of dress only made it seem more alluring. Her dark hair was generally gathered and pinned neatly behind her head. I longed to see it loose and swinging about her very attractive face, but alas, After 6 months in my employ, working in my house 5 days a week, I had not even been allowed to address her by her first name. "Pray," I said, assuming a wounded air, "I assure you, I do not think of the ladies I am fortunate enough sometimes to, let us say, dally with," Miss Greenglass quickly supplied. "Thank you. I do not think of them as prey. I may hunt them, in a sense, but I don't shoot them. I don't wound them. I don't cause them distress in any way. I merely give them pleasure, and they return the favor." "How generous," Miss Greenglass murmured. "Shall we get to work now?" "As a matter of fact," I said, "I am going out. I have an appointment at Brooks Brothers to be measured for a new suit. I happened to stop in there yesterday, and there is a lovely young woman working there as an assistant. You know, I can remember when there were no ladies at Brooks Brothers. Sometimes the times change for the better." "The designated target for the day, I take it?" Miss Greenglass said. "You insist on using such sinister imagery, but the thought has crossed my mind. Her name is Abigail. I've always liked that name. There's something prim and old-fashioned about it, but at the same time it's got a kind of little girl quality. Abigail. I'm partial to names beginning with A, you know. Miss Greenglass's first name is Anne." "You are fond of names beginning with any letter of the alphabet from A to Z," she said sweetly, "providing they're female." "Come to think of it, that's true," I said, "and I suppose I must have gone through all the letters at one time or another. Well, perhaps not X. No, wait. There was a rather luscious lady a couple of years ago whose given name, I believe, was Xanthippe. She was the daughter of a classical scholar. Didn't really use it, though. Called herself Tiffany, actually. It was only by accident that I found out." "What you should do," Miss Greenglass said, in that Greenglassian tone of hers, "is go through the alphabet in order. It would provide more of a challenge, I should think, than mowing them down indiscriminately." I thought a moment. "Actually," I said, "you may have something there. It would be a challenge. Beginning with Abigail, assuming she is amenable, of course. I could then go on to say a Barbara or a Betty, then a Carolyn or a Christine or... You know, if I managed one a week, I could get through the entire alphabet in 6 months." "How in the world," Miss Greenglass inquired, "would you ever limit yourself to one a week?" "Oh, well, I could have others in between, of course." "No, you could not," Miss Greenglass said. "That would be part of the challenge, you see. You must limit yourself to the alphabetical succession until it is completed, and if you haven't completed it within 6 months, you should consider that you have failed." I looked at her curiously. "I didn't realize you were making the rules here," I said. "Do you by any chance think I couldn't do it?" Miss Greenglass favored me with her inscrutable gaze. "I do think it would be rather difficult," she said finally, "even for you." "Would you," I said slowly, "like to make a little wager on the matter?" "A wager, Mr. Walling?" "A wager that I can sleep with 26 women whose first names begin with each letter of the alphabet in succession within 6 months." "And no others in that time?" I shrugged. "If you insist. That will inspire me to proceed more ardently." "And what would the stakes be in this wager?" Miss Greenglass inquired. Her voice was cool as ever, but I thought I saw a very slight flush on her cheek, indicating that she had an idea of what my answer would be, or at least part of it. "Well," I said, "if by some chance I should lose, as you obviously think I am bound to do, I will, let us say, double your salary. Hell, I'll do better than that. I'll triple it. How's that?" "That is certainly tempting," she murmured. "Extremely tempting, Mr. Walling. And if you win?" I looked straight into her eyes, and I must give her credit for returning my gaze in kind. "If I win, Miss Greenglass," I said deliberately, "I will then expect to start the alphabet all over again, with Anne Greenglass." "I see," she said, and she still didn't look away from me. I didn't really expect her to accept, which shows that, although in some ways I may know more about women, I say immodestly, than any man alive.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?